Kerry makes a great point, and I think she reflects a lot of people's concern, and no wonder, because we've been told for all of my life that Scotland couldn't afford it and were subsidised. A couple of things, reality checks really. Point one, if Scotland becomes independent in the next year, it won't, but let's say it did, it would be the richest country ever to become an independent country. Scotland's taxation that it raises itself is enough to pay for all of the Scottish Government's policy responsibilities, plus all of social security and all of pensions, absent COVID, in a normal year. Right now is a great time to do the transition. Angela's correct. It will not be simple, it will be hard work, but it will be worth it. The alternative is carrying on the way we are now. If you believe the critics, we are subsidised. Is living off handouts a life? Is that the summit of our ambition as a country? No, it isn't. The UK model prioritises growth in the South East and transfers cash, the argument goes, to the regions and nations. You may choose for government to be bigger. Denmark pays more in tax. Much happier, much richer country. New Zealand is barely richer than Scotland, but is a much better formed, more equal society with a better public finance position. We shouldn't allow the criticism of the status quo and how things are now to lose the ambition for making it better. The best way to level up is give people the power to look after themselves and make choices for themselves.
But right now our deficit is 8 times the criteria for EU membership. Now a lot of that is down to the COVID situation, but we're not in a financial position at the moment to be able certainly to get back into the EU, are we?
You can join without having hurdled the 3% that you're referring to. Many countries have. You have to be on a glide path to putting it right. All countries need to have sustainable finances.
Yesterday on the BBC News at 1, Ray reported on an improvement in Scotland's public finances, with an increase in revenue and a reduction in the deficit. In doing so, we said that the Scottish Government last year spent nearly £13.5 billion more than it raised. That was incorrect. That figure covers all public sector expenditure in Scotland, including areas controlled by the UK Government and other public bodies. We apologise for that mistake on yesterday's programme.
Why do you think that signs that will now say funded by the UK Government will be any more effective in persuading people in Scotland of the legitimacy of the current constitutional arrangements than those of the European Union? Because I think what you're missing in your answer is that, yes, sure, fine, people will welcome spending on infrastructure, but the argument up here is not simply about how much money is spent, it's about who should decide how the money is spent.
But let's look at the backstory, because that's what's important. Scottish Government now receive a lower share of UK spending than at any point in the last decade. While total UK Government expenditure has decreased since 2020, Scotland's share of that expenditure has decreased faster still. In 2014, the adjusted block grant represented 8% of UK Government expenditure. However, it's fallen now to 7.6%. This attrition represents a real terms cut to the Scottish budget every year since 2020, and the Scottish block grant is now worth £6.4 billion less than it was in 2021, a drop of 12.7%. So £3.4 billion, of course the Scottish Government, as we always do, will put that to tremendous use, but it still leaves us £3 billion short on where we were just 4 years ago. And that's the problem with this union.